A fight card that should have never happened just wrapped up last night, and you guys, this was really sad to watch. I'm gonna break down both of the co-main and the main event. So first, we had Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz, and I can't believe they were thinking about putting Anderson Silva versus Logan Paul in a boxing match. Because you look at what Anderson did in his last fight, against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I mean, it should have been obvious. Sorry for the background noise, by the way, guys. I can't really help it. But anyways, after what he did to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a legitimate boxer, and the way Anderson pretty much made that look easy, I mean, I think we all knew Tito was going to lose this, but I don't think we thought he'd get knocked out in the way he did. When has Tito been knocked out like this? If you guys didn't see it, Tito got ragdolled, essentially. I mean, Anderson was bringing back the rope-a-dope style. He looked like vintage Anderson Silva in there. And it was fun to watch, but also sad to watch because, Tito's in there for the bag. And Tito, I'm assuming his chin was pretty much softened up by that weight cut. 200 pounds is the lowest we've ever seen Tito Ortiz. So, I mean, you could attribute that to that, obviously, but still, Anderson Silva looked like he had a point to prove in there. Maybe some of that Bruce Lee trash talk, the Wing Chun trash talk from Tito Ortiz we saw in the lead up. But still, this card was crazy. It was an entertainment. I didn't watch it live. I wasn't able to, but I know just looking at the recaps, highlights of the entire card, we had Donald Trump commentating, so it's just like Triller's doing things different, man. I don't love what Triller does, especially when I get into the main event. I'll talk about that. I don't love the fights they put on, but still, they're entertainers at the end of the day. But back to the fight, Anderson Silva was just, oh man, he looked amazing up against the ropes, just dodging every shot. Tito Ortiz looked so slow compared to Anderson, and that also could be attributed to the weight cut. But still, Tito looked so slow, and it's sad to see an MMA legend like Tito get knocked out. I don't like Tito Ortiz, but it's sad to see him. He's not my favorite fighter, for sure, but he's a legend in MMA, and so is Anderson Silva, and Anderson Silva's aged amazingly. He was just slipping shots. Tito Ortiz threw like 3 hooks in a row. Anderson Silva saw that. They were so slow. Anderson Silva just kind of was, just dodging shots, getting low, comes over the top or just comes up a little bit with a right hook, pretty much knocks Tito out cold, up against the ropes. Tito kind of falls into the ropes, and then Anderson lands like 2 more shots that sent Tito onto the canvas. It was sad to see, but Anderson Silva versus one of the Paul brothers, that's murder. I don't even think that fight should have happened. I don't know. We should have known too. I think we knew Anderson was going to win, but a KO like that, I don't think we expected. But moving from a fight where guys were similar in age to a fight with a literal senior citizen, versus juiced up TRT Vitor. It was so sad to see. I watched the highlights of that on YouTube once I was able to look at it, and all I said when watching that, just looking at Evander Holyfield, was no. It was sad to see because Evander Holyfield's a legend. He's 58 years old. I mean, you get into a lot of places free when you're like 60, right? And you're considered a senior citizen. I mean, it was just really sad to see. And obviously, Evander Holyfield's in there for the bag. No other reason for him to be in there. It was just really sad. I mean, Evander Holyfield was throwing strikes and lifting himself off of his feet. It was just really depressing. And I don't know. The fact that Evander Holyfield probably needed to do this too makes me sad. I'm sure he has money, but this gave him a lot of money, obviously. And the stoppage, yeah, if this was high-level boxing or even just a normal professional bout, I would disagree with that stoppage. But when you look at the age difference, like 13 years, something, I don't remember Vitor's exact age, but like something like anywhere from like 13 to 15-year age difference, and you look at the stoppage like that, that's completely understandable because the referee's, understanding that Evander Holyfield, he's in there for the bag. He's not in here to actually win. He got dropped. It just, I don't know, man. It was depressing to see. It was truly depressing to see. Vitor looked good, though. Vitor looked quick. Clearly, Evander Holyfield's the better, boxer. Obviously, he's one of the greatest. Evander Holyfield is. That's why it's sad to see Evander Holyfield is like a better boxer, but the youth of Vitor, and obviously Vitor's in his 40s, or late 30s. I think he's in his 40s. So obviously he's not young, but compared to Evander Holyfield, that's the youth will always beat the really old guy, even if the really old guy is an amazing boxing mind. It was just really depressing to see. And man, Vitor Belfort, I would kind of like to see Vitor versus Anderson again. I'm not really going to break down the finishing sequence of that Evander Holyfield fight, by the way, because it was just at least Evander didn't get knocked out cold. We can say that, obviously, because he didn't, and that was good to see. At least he didn't get knocked out cold, but he did get dropped into the ropes. He did get dropped. But anyways, I'm just going to match make what I think. I think Vitor was calling out Logan and Jake Paul because he knows that's where the money is. Jake will never, ever take that fight. I don't think Jake will ever take a Vitor Belfort fight. And if Jake does, they are going to bring in USADA. Even though Jake's probably on stuff, Jake will be able to lean off the stuff he's on now, or get off the stuff he's on now, because it's not... what Jake's on now, if he's on anything, he's not on a lot. TRT Vitor is... he's back. So Jake's going to bring in some good drug testing if he wants to fight Vitor, and same with Logan. That's what I would do if I were them, and they kind of run things. But also, Vitor's on Triller. I don't know if those fights are even happening, because I'm pretty sure Logan and Jake are both signed to Showtime. But maybe Anderson versus Vitor. I think Anderson Silva wins that fight. Anderson Silva weighed in at like 192 for this fight too. So I don't remember what Vitor weighed in at, but that was a heavyweight fight, I'm pretty sure. And it doesn't really make sense now that I think about it. I don't remember what Vitor weighed in at. I'm guessing like 210, 220, around there. But still, it would be an interesting matchup to see. And, Jake and Logan Paul, I don't want to give you guys any advice. Well, not like they would take my advice, obviously. But if I was talking to them, I wouldn't want to give them advice because I'm not their biggest fans or anything. But I would tell them, do not take a fight against Vitor or Anderson Silva because you'll get messed up. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video, man. I hope you guys did enjoy this quick little recap of the card. Like last night, 2 nights ago, and it's just kind of depressing to see, really. Anderson looked amazing, though, so, Anderson's probably going to keep boxing. I don't know, who's aged better than Anderson? Floyd Mayweather aged really well. I guess Randy Couture, but he started later on in his career anyways. I don't know, but back to the... It was a crazy night. It was cool to just even see the highlights, but also really, really depressing. Triller's done it again, where they just put on a crazy show. They're trying to make money. But that's gonna do it for today's video, man. I really hope Evander Holyfield doesn't come back to boxing just because of the way he looked. But it also was on 2 weeks' notice. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video, man. Make sure you guys subscribe.